3, 2, 1, go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hvac Uncensored podcast. You guys know I always like to start off by showing love to all those companies who make this podcast possible. First of all, our friends over at Yellow Jacket, guys, I told you, check out their new tubing bender kit. Everybody used to say, oh man, it's plastic. We don't like the plastic. Well, guys, they've came out with this new shiny looking one. It's all aluminum. This thing is really nice. It's even color coded for you morons out there that can't read and tell the sizes. So they've done everything. The reverse bending kit, it's there for you. Go to your local supply house and check out Yellow Jacket's new products. Also, a little love to our buddy James Alul from Contractor Rescue is doing some ride along training right now. James is a really good guy. Check out his Facebook group, Contractor Rescue, and see what he has to offer. All right, on to the show.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all of our global listeners.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt, crank up the volume, and try not to be offended, because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast with Gil Cavey and Kelley McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelley.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I'm your host, Gil Cavey Jr., sitting alongside my buddy, old pal, Mr. Kelley, Mother effing McKay. We're actually sitting next to each other again.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
Yeah. Sorry about the break, guys. Dealing with some personal stuff. I'm sorry about some weeks with no episodes. But it's you gotta do what you gotta do. We've been I've been dealing with some stuff, but it's definitely good. It's just therapeutic to be here. So it's good to be talking to you, bud.
It is, and I'm happy to be back, just to get back into our normal routine here. Tonight we do have a guest. We're currently missing him. Let's wait for him to see if he can log back in. So, but anyhow, like, what do you got going on right now, Gil?
It's been well, first of all, when you guys hear this, we're a little bit late, but happy St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully all of you were safe out there tonight, drinking your green beer if you're allowed to go out, all that good stuff. But as far as business wise, man, it's been great. We finally got into our new office, our new shop, which has just been amazing. The whole process has been good. Really starting to implement some things that we've been wanting to do. And nice. The office was the first step. So really, really excited. That definitely a good time, man. I couldn't be happier.
I'm happy for you, man, because I know that's been something that's been bugging you a little bit. And I could totally agree. Like you lose that, I guess, connection with the guys, with the team. If you don't like see them come through the shop once in a while, you know what I'm saying? Like you just, you feel like you're losing that part of it. So I totally.
What's going on, guys?
Get why you're excited about it.
No, you're good. Yeah, let's introduce this man. We don't want to pop out again.
What's up, guys? I don't know what the hell happened. Also, I was like, what do you want to mute myself? And he went, God.
Wow, guys. Yeah, tonight, guys, we got Mr. Victor Rancour. Glad to have him back on the show. This is your third time on the show, isn't it, Vic?
I think this is my second time on the show. We tried to connect a couple of times.
Is it second? Okay, gotcha. Well, it's good to have you back, brother. I know you've been busy and you're doing lots of stuff out there in SoCal, and saw that you just had a training not very long ago. Now I'm seeing like raving reviews about the training. So congratulations, and that's awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously the last time I was on here, I was in a whole different space. You know, my business was still pretty new, and it's been a little over a year now. So I mean, since then it's just been my whole business life, my personal, everything's just kind of taken off like crazy. And yeah, like you mentioned, the training, you know, we just got done with that. I never thought in my life, right, that I'd be able to make a post on Facebook and I'd get dudes from all over the country to come train with me, which is kind of wild. So that was kind of a surreal experience. Especially from me, where I come from, like my background, only being in this industry for 6 years. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet, man. I mean, Christ, we talked to you a year ago and it was like, damn, dude, Victor's out there killing it. And now it's just like, somehow he did more than we thought he would do than before. It's just, that's why I kept telling you, I was like, dude, you got to come back on because Christ, since we talked last time, you've done like way more shit that we have to talk about.
Yeah, man. I think last time I was on, we were just moving into our second building, which was like, still pretty new to us. And now since then we moved to a new, bigger location that we're outgrowing now. So we're looking for another location. Since the last time I was on, I've acquired another business. So I acquired a business about 2 hours east of me, which is a whole nother fucking ball game trying to run a business from, it's all good to say you can do it here, but when you can go take your stuff and move it to somewhere else and it can still work. And I think that's been the biggest humbling experience, right? Is learning that too. So that's been something that's been going on lately.
Nice. So when we talked to you last time, like you said, you were like, what, like 30, 40 employees a year ago. Now you're 100 plus, almost 100 plus.
Yeah. So we've pretty much doubled in size since the last time we had a conversation. We went, so when coronavirus hit, this last year, this time, like I thought I was losing everything. So like, a lot of laid off employees and I was answering my own fucking phones, which I never thought I was going to answer my phones again in my life. So I was answering my own phones, trying to figure out how I was going to pay my bills and, just looking at the bank account, watching like, okay, I can maybe make another payroll or not. You know what I mean? So it's wild to think that, just a year ago now to where I'm at now, just like last year, like I had to like give up on everything that I thought I knew and kind of just trust other people to kind of pull me out of my hole. So since then, I mean, I've really gone on some mentors and then I just erased all the shitty people that were in my life and in my business and just put everything behind me and kind of just, I feel like this is like my third version of myself. Like now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take on some shit.
You have to. There's always a better version. And Kelley, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just, me, I'll forget. So I want to ask you this question, man. Somebody in your position, because you just mentioned COVID and how scary it was. And something like this can happen again. The economy can crash. So now for you as a business owner, how do you try to protect yourself or set yourself up in case something like this happens again? Like, what did you learn from COVID this time?
Probably nothing. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, when COVID hit, I was almost a year and a half in business. Yeah, I think it was about right at a year and a half, right? And in that year and a half, I started from scratch knowing nothing about running a business. And I grew it at this point, a year and a half in, I'd already done about $6 million in business, right? And, but the problem is I was doing $6 million a year, but I was spending $6 million a year because I was reinvesting everything. And, you always think like, oh, the money's never going to stop. The business is going to keep coming no matter what. Like I got this thing figured out and there's no reserve or stuff set aside. It's just like we're chasing money all the time. Like we have to sell the day, or we're not making my fucking bills. So we got to keep selling and selling. And then when something does happen, right. And you don't prepare for it, then you're like, oh, fuck. And I legitimately wasn't nowhere near prepared. It was already slow season. It was already coming off a big year, but we just rebranded our trucks. We were rewrapping everything. We just bought all this crazy shit. I just dropped, like when COVID hit, March 1st, I dropped $60,000 on radio for March, right? I had this big radio push I was going to make. Well, I put $60,000 into the phones in a ring once, like it was dead. So we're like, oh shit, like that was my money. Like I gambled that. Like I was expecting that to come back. So when that happened, man, like I was like kind of dead to rights. I remember talking to my wife. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, are we going to shut this thing down? And I'm like, I have such a good thing going. And even then I had all these employees that, I probably didn't even need them at that point, right? Because it's not as busy, it's slow season, but I was paying all this extra money to keep them intact so that when summer came, we were ready to just dominate. Like we had this game plan, like whatever we have to do is get to summer. If we get to summer this year, we're going to fuck shit up. Right. And we did that staff didn't make it to summer for me. So I was spending all this money on people I didn't need. I was over leveraging myself, not thinking about the big picture or what could happen. So, vice versa. Now it's like, I look at like worst case scenario all day. Like, okay, I want to grow this business, but we have to hold back this much. We have to do this to make sure that if anything happens again, like if I go a month without selling anything, I'm good. Like that's what I want to be in that. And that's kind of where the position that we've kind of set ourselves up for now. And a lot of it came down to not knowing the numbers, right? Because Kelley, and Gil, you can sell a bunch of stuff, right? I can sell everything. I sold millions of dollars, but my net was like nothing, right? My net's 3-4%. Yep. That's not something to go right home about. So now, our conversation in our business is what's the bottom line right now? Where are we at? What's our bottom line this month? what do we have to do to hit our bottom line? And then how do we go and make it positive? So now we build our pricing from at a net 25%. And then if anything happens in between that 25% and the zero, we're still good.
Yeah. You have to be that way.
Absolutely. I was just going to, say, and we talked about this just a little bit before we started recording, but I just wanted to acknowledge the person that Victor has had to become in order to be able to handle what he's got right now, because this is a machine. Like, this is a machine, and there's so many moving parts of this machine that it takes a certain level of growth personally to be able to hand over the shit that you thought that was your main shit, like this is my bread and butter. This is what I'm good at. And I know you've had to start delegating some of that stuff because it just becomes impossible to do it all yourself. And so I just want to congratulate on reinventing yourself. And that's not something that's easy to do.
No.
And it's not something that everybody can do. So, that's why you're seeing all this success. And I
he even gives off a different vibe talking to him now than when we talked to him last time.
Totally agree.
It's blatantly obvious, to be honest, in a good way.
Yeah.
You can tell that you've grown and you matured as a business owner,
Yeah. And like I said, I got humbled, right? And a lot of people don't talk about getting humbled much. And like, they only talk about the wins. And, a lot of guys, they see that I kind of post everything. Like I like to be kind of raw because that's the real nature. That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of anything. And where I came from, like 8 years ago, I was doing oil changes in Cleveland, Ohio for $6 an hour. Like, I've been at the dirt, like bottom, right? Where I didn't know how, Friday night I'd spend every penny I had at the bar. And then the rest of the week I'm living off a cup of noodles and stealing whatever's in the company fridge. And, I've been on both ends, and then I had to evolve out of that. And as I became a father, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to figure out how to provide for my family. And at that point I changed, right? I changed my priorities then. And then when I started getting into HVAC and learning and moving up, because I started knowing nothing 6 years ago, to working my way up. And when I was working my way up, I only had one thing in my mind, is because I had to make enough money to support my family, right? Well, then you start making the money and you're the hot shot, right? Like, you have the money. I got Mercedes. I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year selling air conditioners. And then from there, it's like I had an entrepreneurial seizure, right? I'm the best at selling fucking air conditioners. I can start a business and I will kill it, right? And right. I did, like, kind of, right? But I didn't know what I was doing. And when you have an entrepreneurial seizure, you don't plan on starting a business. Then, 5 days later, you have a business, and you kind of have to learn along the way and learn a lot the hard way. Like, I've spent over $1 million on an education. I'll tell you that much. And to learn that way, it's rough. But then it also, like I said, going into it, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be the guy running the calls. So I have to figure out a way to get out of that. So I figured out a way out of that. But then, okay, well, I'm selling a lot, but I'm selling at the price I would have sold if I was running it. But now someone else is running it. I got to pay him a commission. So I have to raise those prices to justify it. So just stuff like that you learn along the way. And I would say last year when I was on this podcast, my head could barely fit through the fucking door, dude. Like, I thought my shit didn't stink. And that's how I was. And when you get humbled, you realize, and even then, like, how I walked into my business isn't the same now. Like, I would walk in and people were fearing me. Yeah. People didn't want to be around me. I was a dick. I would tell people how to do instead of like, hey, explaining it how it's done. So like now it's like some of my employees that have been with me for a long time still have like PTSD. And I think I'm like, something happens. I'm like, dude, what the fuck's Vic going to do? He's going to flip a table. He's going to fucking lose it. Dude, I'm telling you, they got the fuck, dude. You know what? I just promoted, actually one of the guys that's been with me since the beginning, I just promoted him general manager, right? This guy has gone through some fucking shit in 2.5 years. I feel bad for the guy. I think he probably has to go to therapy and shit because of the shit he had to deal with. And he got to see all the raw stuff. And me and him were friends before this. I was actually his boss at the last place. And it was kind of cool because I've seen him evolve, right? And he's evolved and gotten better. And like, you can see it in his face. He's like, dude, like, I love working here. Before it was like, dude, I have nowhere else to go. And this guy's a fucking dick. So it's definitely been a different thing. So like when a problem arises, it's not, oh, fuck, throw up the red flags. It's like, hey, let's sit down as a team. Let's look at the board. Let's look what we can do and figure our way out of it. Like, hey, do we got to cut here? We got to cut here, whatever it is. And we make it happen. Before It was just like, rampage, you're fired, fucking lay off everybody, get rid of it. It was crazy. Yep. Yeah. So I definitely it shows, man. It radiates off you because, but you're exactly right. Like the emotions that are involved you just can't let those emotional,
the entrepreneur roller coaster. You can't let that take control of you, because you will make some really bad decisions, and totally get that.
Bad decisions, bad hirings, like there's just so many different things that, have gone wrong. And it's like, dude, I'm like, what? Like I almost come into work and it's like, if everything goes right, I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like there's something fucking off. When you have this many moving pieces, this many human beings, there's always something. Yeah. I actually was at my all company meeting. And of course, not everybody was there, even though everybody's mandatory all company meeting, right? And I said, I'll give $100 to every single employee if every single one of you showed up one day, just one day, every employee. It'll never happen. It hasn't happened yet. It's never going to happen. Like there's always going to be somebody out. Somebody gets hurt. Somebody's got the sniffles. Somebody's wife's yelling at them. So it's just one of those things you just have to. Before it used to piss me off, and now it's like, you know what? They're human beings. I can't control that. All I can control is when they are here. I can give them the best tools, put them in the best position to win, and they make it to where they want to come to work because they're going to make money. And that's what I do.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And that's what we do it on a lot smaller scale. But, I came from an old school guy, the company I used to work for, man. Like it was, I'm not going to speak ill of him because I learned a lot about business. He's the one who took my mentality from technician to business owner, business minded. But it was very old school. And here is different, where it's more of a collaboration, treat your techs good, create that culture where the guys come, love coming to work, stuff like that. And it's something I've never been used to. It's been like, hey, you go do this and you fucking do it now. Like, like military, like I'm giving you your orders, go fucking do it.
Yeah.
Don't you talk back.
Sounds like that's how he was.
No, and that's how it used to be. Like, so when before I started in HVAC, I was working in construction, right? And in construction, there's no mince words there, dude. Like the boss is the boss. You do what you're going to do, or if you become the boss, then everybody underneath you gets to feel the same way. And I still it worked for me, right? So like it works for a certain type of person. But you can't be like that for because you got call center reps, you got managers, you got all these different things, and these are different people. They can't handle this. A construction worker, you're going there to be a fucking construction worker. There's going to be some shit talk, and you're going to deal with it. And I still remember, to this day, like my boss at this time, who was actually my father-in-law, yelling in my ears, just the little things would yell, and I'm like, fuck, but it stuck in my head, right? So I learned that way, and I was okay with it. But that's how I was when I started my business. I thought I had to be like, it's my way or the highway. But now, like, you come into my business, like I bet you if someone came in it happens all the time. They come in my business, they don't even know I'm the owner at all. Like they can't tell the difference between me and anybody else because I don't act any different. I don't treat anybody different. I'm there. We work together. Like I'm not dressing fancy. I don't show up in fancy shit. Like I have a nice truck and that's it, but I don't show up like I'm the shit. I just show up to work. I show up in sweaters and hoodies and whatever, and just go to work, and you'll see me there with my feet on the table. Like it's not for me. That's not who I am. I just want to be who I am. Make sure that everybody else is comfortable around me.
That's awesome, man. And to hear you say what you said about, the big head means a lot, how you grew. And to be honest, Kelley, let's think about where we were our 6th year in. And if we had a company that grew that fast, everybody is going to feel that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's natural. You know what I mean? But the fact that you were able to step back and grow is why you went from that to where you are now.
Yeah. Like now it's like, dude, like I said, I would want to work here. Like there's no better place in the country to work. Like my guys fucking love it. They love me. Like, it's weird because like I have guys come in from all over the country that do ride-alongs with my guys, and I enjoy it. And if anybody listening to this wants to come do some ride-alongs and see what we're doing, it's open, right? They come do ride-alongs, and they come to me. Like I went to dinner with one of them after, and he's like, dude, these guys have so much fun. Like they will walk through a fucking wall for you. They'll run through a fucking wall. Like they have so much respect. And I said, because I don't get mad. I just get disappointed type of deal. And they don't want to disappoint me. And I think like it's a fucking, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's beautiful, dude. Like it's beautiful going to work and everybody's happy. And I interact with everybody from the janitor to everybody. Like I made the janitor the employee of the year because you guys he comes in at 4 a.m. every day, cleans the fucking shop. Like the guy's a badass, right? And I interact with him. I talk to him, and like that's the kind of business I want. Is that where everybody's comfortable to come talk to me or whatever it is.
That's awesome. Yeah. I would like to think that's how my culture is. That's how I always wanted to build a place where I would have loved to go work, somewhere that I could go grow and have some type of a plan or something to go to that next level. Because where I worked here in the Midwest, I was nothing but a service tech. That's all I was ever going to be.
Yeah. So one of the conversations I have all the time, and I said, look, I've helped others. I've actually had multiple employees that went and started their own businesses, and they're successful. And guess who they call when they have problems? They call me, and I help them. And I'm going to help you if whatever your life goal is. Like, there's a guy that I'm good friends with, Jordan Beebe. Do you know who he is?
I see his posts on
his Lamborghinis, his Lamborghinis and shit. Like
he's a stud, man.
Jordan's a really good guy. One of the things that talking to Jordan and how he motivates his guys, he literally finds out what they want to do, what their goals are, all that stuff. Like he finds out about what they want, and then he puts it on. Hey, look, you got to do this. You want to hit this. You want to do this. He really hammers home. On getting to get to know them, and I think that's something that resonated with me. Is I try to find what my guys. If I have one guy that wants to buy a house, but I got one guy that just wants to be on vacation with hot chicks. Like there's just different things, and you got to figure out what makes them click to want that. So I think that's been a big thing for me too. Is reaching out to Jordan, and I've been out to his house and all that stuff, and we're good friends and stuff. So it's pretty cool to watch what he's done with Rooter Ranger. Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Awesome. Everybody's got to aspire. And that's what I've always thought, man. Like I want to be that way, that I want to, it's not about being the boss. I just want to put people in the best situation to be successful. And everybody's different, how can I provide the tools? And I tell the guys like, hey, I don't know everything. I did, 2.8, almost 3 million was the most I ever did in sales. And I was like, hey, people blow me away. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some sales guru, because I'm not. Was I pretty good at it? Yeah. So I know enough to be able to teach someone else. But I was like, hey, if I don't know the answer, then fuck it. We'll learn together.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. And
I have a folder for it. Yeah. I was going to say, just to extend on that, I keep a folder for every single one of my coworkers that work with me. And I want to know, I'm the same way. I want to know exactly, like I had one of my CSRs just a couple months ago, after some trial and tribulation and me continuing to root for her and push her, she finally got her GED. And I celebrated that shit, gave her $300. I made I sat down, we made a plan, and I said, how are you going to celebrate when you get this? And she wanted to, go shopping. She wanted to go out to eat, get some lobster. And so I made sure that she went and did that shit when she hit that goal, because that's important to me. And that's where the fulfillment comes from.
Yeah, I mean,
and I know you're feeling that, man.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Like, these guys that, didn't know anything about HVAC or didn't know, there's nothing, and I brought them in, and now they're buying houses and they're getting the first brand new cars that are bought. One of the things I'm bringing in now is I got a bunch of, I got like some 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids, right? Well, normally these kids would be going to McDonald's and flipping burgers. And I said, hey, how about I teach you this? I got an 18-year-old not even my nephew, he's my cousin, my little cousin. He's 18 years old, just got out of high school. He's going to make $140,000 his first year. Know nothing about HVAC. So now guess what? He's going to tell all his friends that are that age, hey, come over here and work. So now these young kids that I can grow with, right? Because what do I want right now? As a business owner, I got a bunch of heavy hitter sales guys, right? Well, I want a bunch of little guys that just want to turn leads. I can feed this hamster wheel, right? Because that's where the big money is. It's on the turnovers. It's not on the estimates. So I have all these kids that are they follow the process. They do everything the right way. They only do how I told them, and they're hungry. And guess what? If they don't have work for a couple of days, they don't give a shit because they've already made more money than they've ever had in their life. They're not like a guy that needs work every single day. Like it's whatever. They're like, I'm making money. Who cares?
Yeah. Plus you're grooming the next generation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I went through it. And that's how I got in this industry, is just responding to an ad and going into a training just like I do now. Went through an 8-week crash course training that I barely made it out of. Like they wanted to fire me multiple times. I'm like, just give me a chance. And they wanted to make me an installer, dude. I'm like, no, I'm not an installer. Just let me try the service tech thing. I think I can do that. But like, I got bad ADD. Like I couldn't pay attention in class. Like I was just like, they're just like, dude, this guy doesn't get it. But I got in the field of like, oh, fuck, like he really gets it. I'm like, no, I just want to make money. I just had to go through this shit so I can go make some money,
Yeah. And people don't realize the kind of money that you can make in this industry. Like, people don't get it. Like, when these texts are like, man, I want to make $100,000. I was like, stop lowballing yourself, dude. $100,000 should be a bad year.
Yeah. Well, that's the coolest thing in this industry. You get to decide your pay. Like, if you have a good boss, right? If you have a good boss, you get to decide your own pay. And I think that's what resonated with me. Like, most people don't realize, like, the top, I have friends. My one buddy sold $1 million in May last year, right? Sold $1 million. He made 14% of that. $1 million in a month, right? In Southern California, this isn't in Vegas. Like, these are all fucking, his average ticket was $34,000 a fucking ticket. The guy is probably the best sales guy in the country. And that's the guy that I learned from, right? And that's the guy I was in class. Like, that's where I came up with from Service Champions. There's multiple guys there like that are just like me. We all just had this like fucking hunger, but he's still there. He's making a kill. Like, he's going to make probably $800,000 a year selling air conditioners. And people don't realize that this is out there, and it is, and it's insane. And like, even for me, like, my last year, I was a $5 million sales guy. I made a lot of fucking money selling air conditioners. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go start my business and I'm going to make more money. And then I'm
going to double it.
Dude, that guy who's my boss is making all the money, dude, and then you go start, you're like, oh wait, like, he had to work his way up to that shit. Like, he had to pay all this money because what's the most expensive thing to do is collect database, right? They build a database is the most expensive part. We start from scratch, and you got to build a database by selling every fucking day. Otherwise, you go out of business. It's a whole different ballgame.
It's like, that G-Wagon you had was a lease. Fuck, I didn't know that. Like, you start learning all the things that people see. They see the shell, and they don't realize how all that stuff came to fruition. You got to know the details, and you can't just put this picture in your mind and think because you don't know.
The thing is, unlike me, like, I just thought I knew it all, right? I'm like, I can go do this. If I go back now, I would have reached out to somebody. I would have been in one of these Facebook forums, like, hey, who's that guy? Like, if I had saw me, I'd be like, I'm going to talk to that fucking dude. What is he doing? How's he growing? How did he do it? What did he have to go through? What shit would he do differently if he was going to do it again? That's a conversation that I would have. But like, when I did it, I'm like, well, fuck it. I don't need to do it. If that guy can do it, I can do it. Like, it's bullshit. It's easy. And it's not.
But everybody thinks that, and everybody acts that, so where would you be like right now if you wouldn't have gotten to that point where you're like, I got to figure this shit out. I need to talk to somebody who's done this. Where would you be?
Out of business. I would be 100%
out of business.
Yep. I would have been out of business at least a year ago. Like I said, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know, like, I literally, once coronavirus hit, I lost, like, I cut like all the people that were just bad. They were just weighing my business down. And all I did was hire smart people. I'm not hiring anybody that's fucking dumber than me. Everybody has to be smarter than me. I have one girl she was an apprentice under a Nobel Prize winner. Okay. She had her master's when she was 19 years old. Well, she's the one running the numbers for my business now. And then she didn't come from this industry, but she's smart. I brought in a really smart accountant. I brought in a really smart, like, all these people to put them around, because what I did is when I went to, remember I was telling you the burn the ships thing, I went to that, right? And they had a personality test. And if you've never done a personality on your test on yourself, then you're doing shit wrong. Like, you need to go find out. I'll remember by the end of this podcast what it's called.
DISC? Is it a DISC?
No, I'll remember what it is. But so I went went and took this thing, and it's like, dude, I'm like, oh, this thing fucking knows me. I didn't realize, like, I was answering the questions. They seemed like, just basic questions, right? And when I'm like, dude, this is me. Like, my attention to detail is like, but my fucking entrepreneurial is like, what? Like, I'm the guy that's going to go, I have to be the head of this whole thing. And I need and then you find out where your holes are, and you bring all these people around you that fill those holes, and then magically you just take off, right? That's what happened for me. I brought in people that filled my holes where I lacked. I needed them to pick it up. I'm not going to be the one typing out fucking KPIs and all this shit. No, I'm going to go get us people. I'm going to bring in people. I'm going to motivate. I'm going to train. I'm going to do whatever I'm good at. You got to pick up the shit behind me. And that's kind of where I'm at. I have a lot of shit picker uppers, I guess. If you're watching this, you got a shit picker upper. But
I went through I just recently went through the scale. Have you read or heard of Scaling Up? Vern Harnish. There's a book called Scaling Up, and it's really good. And it's it has that stuff. It's like, you got your marketing, you got your finance, you got your managers, you got your controllers, like, and it's like feelings, we go through and we say, who's the person that's in each of these positions? And what we always find as owners is like, we're in half the fucking positions. Yeah. And it's like, we have to find people to fill those positions. So
I think one of the hardest one for me so far is the sale. Like I'm so good at sales and motivation. Like when, if I throw a sales meeting, right, it's not going to be the same as anybody else I go find to come run a sales meeting. There's just I fucking ooze passion when I talk about sales and selling shit and fucking that's my shit. Like I get fucking, you can see it jump out of my skin when I talk about how to sell and the art of it and all that stuff. I can't go find someone else to do that. What am I going to fucking pay that guy? Fucking $500,000 a year to come do it. Like I can't replace me on that. So that's kind of one of the hardest things for me to let go of. But it's also what's made my business successful. Is that when shit goes, if I take a couple of weeks off and not training and I know numbers aren't there, I have one fucking training and it goes like this, like fucking instantly. So like, I think that's one of the hardest things is that's the last piece of the business that I'm really I haven't been able to fill that hole, to be honest. And I think that's been the hardest thing. Going on to another location, right, is finding someone else with my passion to be there. And I finally found that. I brought a guy in that just reminded me of myself. And I moved him in from Utah. And I said, and he had his own business in Utah and his business failed because he didn't know how to get customers. He was good at what he could do, but he didn't know the marketing part, but he knew how to sell. Sure. Well, I said, hey, dude, we'll come out to California and I'm going to have you run the shop and blah, blah, blah. And the guy reminds me of himself. Magically, to the numbers of that shop, I went like this, he's been with me for 3-4 weeks. And it's like, and it went from, it's a nice, they do a little bit of money. They're nice to get like, now it's like you go there and the guys are like, yeah, I sold this and this. And you see sales all day long. And it's like having me there. So I think that's the biggest thing is that as I scale this business, you have to find badass operators. And, I have a couple more guys in mind as we scale and we're looking in San Diego and in other parts of the country and stuff. And I think that's what my job going forward is, just acquiring solid people that want to grow and do this together. Because that's kind of like what Ken Goodrich has done, right? He has operators in every place and you got to have someone like that. And otherwise, like, he doesn't have that in California. Guess what? His business like this in California,
Well, unless you're going to hire me, stay the fuck out of Maryland, all right?
Oh shit, no, I ain't going out there, man. But that's the cool thing too, is people see my energy and how I operate, and guess what I have now? Everyone said there's a labor problem. Well, I have a fucking too much labor problem. I got too many people that I can't take everybody. I want to take everybody, right? You want to just fucking take them all, and you can't. You have to be smart because I don't want to overextend myself and end up back in the same boat. But like, I know that if I went and got 30 fucking trucks tomorrow, I would fill up 30 fucking trucks with installers and techs by the next week. Right. And that's the problem you have when you build a fucking culture and you build that energy and people want to just gravitate to you. And once you get to that point and you have to be paused, like for me, it's always like, if anything comes up anymore, I'm just like, whatever, dude, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Before it was like, the whole world's over now. Like no one wants to work for that. They think their business is going under. They don't know that their boss is losing it. Like they're thinking this thing's done. We're fucked. I need to go fucking put my resume in somewhere. You know what I mean? So just make sure that you are a business owner to watch your mentality, your demeanor and all that stuff, because everybody watches it.
You have to show the face that they need to see every day.
Yeah, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You always got to be that reassuring voice. Everything's going to be okay. More worried about the solution than the problem. There's nothing worse than coming to work one day and your boss looks stressed or is all negative, and you're going to work that day thinking like, "Damn, is my check on the cash Friday? Like, is everything good?" You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Well, and also be real though. Like when shit ain't right, like have that conversation with your guys too. Don't sugarcoat and say, look, dude, this is where I'm at. And I really need you to like be here right now. Like this is where we're at. Like, don't be scared. Like my guys know the numbers. They know where we're at. We know that we stand. I like to involve them in everything, because guess what? When they know more about the business, they know about the numbers. When they're in front of a customer, the customer's like, why are you $8,000 higher? And I said, Mrs. Smith, the reason why we're $8,000 higher is this, this, and this. And this is why we have to charge us to be here in 5 years to be able to take care of you, blah, blah. And then the customers buy for more because my employees believe it. If you just charge a high price and you don't explain how the fuck you got there, your guy's never going to believe it. So I do bring my sales guys, I just break it down. Like, this is where the break-even point is. This is where we have to hit. So when you sell a job and you get 10% off, this is where it's coming from. And this is what happens when you do that. And then guess what? They don't want to discount no more. They don't want to give 10% off. They want to make sure that they do the right thing for everybody.
Yeah, and you have to do that. That's why we used to always say the one, and, you know, rather than trying to lower your price, stack the value. You know, explain, like, I want to be close to the most expensive in town, and I want people to go with me anyway. And that's normally what happens, you know, and people don't get it. It's, I'm selling a bunch of systems, like you were saying, but your profit margins are so low. You look in the bank at the end of the month and it's like, well, we didn't make it.
I had a sales guy, and I love the guy to death, real good dude. And he worked his ass off for me. Like, if I wanted to run 7 days a week anywhere all over town, right? But he just couldn't get past basic, and he would discount all day long. But he sold $1.5 million in 6 months, right? But all of it was just the discount stuff, which is nice, keeps the lights on and shit. But at the end of the day, we're not moving forward in a fucking hamster wheel. And, you know, one of my competitors just paid him a lot of money, paid him like ridiculous amount of money to leave. And he left. And magically, I give someone else that takes the time, educates, and sells at a higher ticket. Magically, I'm making way more money off the same calls that I would have had him on, where it was just like, yeah, we would sell a lot, but then all we're doing is keeping installers at work, and that's it. We're not making anything. So you have to also pay attention to that. Just because someone's selling all the time doesn't mean that they're making you money, and it's a real weird correlation.
No, it's like if you on a baseball team, you got a second baseman, and he could do the job and he bats okay, but should we not just, and I like him, he's a good guy, but should I not upgrade the talent of the team? Like, are we just gonna try to take third at the end of the year, and not go to the World Series? You know, I mean, so it is. Yeah. Some of those decisions are really tough. No, because you do like these people, but
you know, he's a good friend of mine, and I wish him all the best. But it's like, dude, at the end of the day, I got my batting order right now. It's like a bunch of dogs, dude. Like, everybody in the country would kill to have some of these dogs I have in my room. It's because they breed the business. Like, when they go to a house, like, they cannot believe some of them want to pick somebody else over us. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even fucking be like, they get mad. They call me like, I cannot believe that guy would have made that decision and not go with us. And they have this fucking breathing. That's why they sell, $25,000, $30,000 systems all day, because they just believe there's no fucking better place. And why would you ever do business with anybody besides for us? Like, you're out of your mind. And that's the trans. So, sales is a transfer of belief onto someone else. And if you believe it and you transfer that to someone else, and you get them to believe it, then it's over.
Yep. I love that. I love you saying that. It's transfer of beliefs, because that is 100. I agree with that. And, hearing it that way, I never thought about it, but that makes perfect sense. That's exactly what you're doing. If you don't believe in what you're selling or what you're doing, there's no way in hell the customer is going to believe in it. That's
what Sell or Be Sold is all about. That's why it's such a good book, and it helps people understand. Like Grant Cardone, that one book, I'm telling you, it transferred my thought process on that. Like, either that customer's going to sell you, or you got to sell yourself first, for one thing. Yeah. But then once you get sold, then, they're going to sell you on why they can't, or you're going to sell them on why they must.
Well, and that's one of the things I look for in a sales guy, right? Is someone with passion. Like, if I have weird questions I ask in interviews, right? And they're questions that how I find out if this guy's hungry or not. And I ask those questions that I can see it, and you can see it. I can see in their tonality, their voice, their eyeballs. Like, I'm really big at body language and seeing how, do you guys know what the power position is when you're at home doing sales?
I've heard of it, but I don't.
Not for sales. Yeah. I've heard of power positions.
The power position, when you're in a house or you're doing a presentation, always you're either directly in front of the customer or you're to his right side, because you have a direct line of eye. That's the power position in sales. So you want to be on that second. You can watch as a human. That's the best way to watch. And so what I do when I do a presentation, I have my paperwork and all the numbers over here, right? Like, I'm set to the side. So they're looking over there, and I can watch their eyes in this position. You can always watch their eyes in the position. You can see exactly what they're telling you, and you see what they're going to do. If they're going to make a decision, or if you need to slow down, or whatever it is. So practice that. Always be in that power position. And I'm telling you, you'll sell a lot more stuff.
Gotcha. Nice.
No, I like that. One odd question I wanted to ask you. So you've growing and where you are now from where you came from. So that Victor that was getting ready to, leave that company and start his own business. If you could talk to him today, what would you tell him?
First off, don't leave yet. you gotta plan, right? So I just came off a $500,000 sales month. I was like $585,000 sales month, right? Came off this massive sales month. I didn't even stay long enough to get my goddamn bonus. I was owed a $15,000 bonus in like 10 days, and I just didn't stay. I was like, fuck this, I'm done, right? So first off, I would have planned. I would have came up with I came up with my business, and 5 days later I started it. Like there was no, but this goes back to so my dad, he's actually passing right now, and he's going through stuff. And one of the things my dad always told me when I was a kid, he told me as a kid, and I didn't get it till I was an adult, right? He used to tell me, he who hesitates masturbates. So you go talk to a girl, you hesitate, you're going to be masturbating tonight, right? I didn't resonate until I was older, but it always clicked in my head. I'm like, dude, I just can't hesitate. I can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And that's always been how it was. So that's where I was at in that position. So if I was to say, hey, look, dude, just keep that 1 foot in a little bit longer, collect that bonus, save as much of that money as you can, try to tighten up your finances and make sure you know what you're doing. Don't get a partner. So I started with a partner that I had to buy out. That sucked. It cost me a lot of money. So don't get a partner. Start your own business. And if you have to bring someone on later on, you can do that, but don't do that unless you need to. And then just learn the business side. Go to maybe read a business book. Read the E-Myth, right, by Michael Gerber. Read these books to kind of give you an idea what you're in for. Because you think it's all roses and butterflies and rainbows. It's not, dude. It's going to be a grind, and it's going to be a relentless one, and it's going to test you. It's going to test you physically, mentally. It's going to test your family. It's going to test your love life. It's going to test your family. Everything about your life is going to be tested in the first year, mm-hmm. right? So just prepare for that stuff. Save your money. Save as much money as you can. Be smart when you spend it, right? So now I know, hey, when it's October, don't go spend a bunch of money on fucking marketing, because you're not going to get any return. I didn't before. I was like, I'm going to throw money out there. Well, now, I had one of my good friends. He came out of summer last year. He's like, what should I do? I said, don't spend a freaking penny. Just call your customers that you have in your database. Don't spend a penny. Well, he wouldn't spend his load. He went the opposite. Oh, he's probably just giving me shit. He's trying to mess me up because he's in my market. And he calls me. He's like, dude, I spent $60,000 and I got nothing. And I was like, well, I told you not to. So stuff like that, just learn the nuance of the business, reach out to a mentor, reach out to someone that's done it before, figured out what he did and how he started, or just call me. That's what I would have done. I would call me now.
Yeah. Well, like you said, don't be afraid to admit what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, it's that simple. Yeah. And you can't, I know we joke and people say fake it till you make it. That's a funny thing to say, but you can't. No. You try to fake it till you make it. You're not going to make it. It's that simple. You're going to crash and burn. You're going to lose everything. You can't be afraid to ask for help. And that's what I love with the industry now. And maybe it's not everybody. Trust me, it's not everybody. But the fact that people are more about, helping each other and passing knowledge around these podcasts and different things, because it's we all got to eat, man. It's all the trade, and half of us are never going to meet. Our businesses are never going to cross paths. And even if they do, there's enough customers out there for everybody. Yeah. We don't have to hold that knowledge to ourselves and be all secretive. We have I don't even know, one of the, something hidden. It's just being able to share that knowledge to make other people better. I think
that's one of the things that people don't really understand. They don't know how to, they can't read me. They can't tell, is this guy just trying to help or what? I put out so much shit for free, all the time. And I help so many people all the time. And that gives me more that literally, I'll tell you right now, someone reaching out and me giving them some advice that helps them be successful is way more fulfilling than, I was saying, I had the guy done with that training. This guy went and had a fantastic day, and he texted me this thing. I had $170,000 sales day yesterday at Absolute Airflow. That shit didn't even matter to me. That the fact that I helped this guy who was in freaking Texas that's never sold anything like this before, and he sold it for the first time, that's what I get. And that's what makes me tick. Like we used to like, and I think that a lot more people are like that. It's like, we always had this competition thing, but like, it's, if you really take your time, you help somebody, you'll have that feeling in your body and your mind is going to be so much freaking better than holding it in and being a curmudgeon and keeping all your secrets to yourself. Because not everybody I can give you everything in my mind. I can give it to you, right? But can you actually implement it? Can you follow through and do what has to be done every single day? And a lot of people cannot do that. I can give them everything. Right. I give them the fucking blueprint and they would fail because they would not push through it. They don't have they can't get through adversity. They can't do any of this stuff, right? So that's how I look at it. Like, hey, look, 99% of the people are not going to be able to make anything to do with any of this stuff. But that one guy might just say, hey, look, dude, I followed what Victor did and holy shit, I took off. And then me and that guy are going to be laughing in Cabo together, right? Mm-hmm.
So that's why they have that one saying that says 95% of people, what does it say? What is it? The 97% of people who give up or something work for the 3% of people who don't. Or it's something like that.
There is because I'm building a webinar because I'm going to be doing a course to help other business owners because that's what makes me fulfilled. And so, but I was looking up, doing some research, and there's energy.gov has it's like a report that they did on evaluating the HVAC contractor market. And there's only like three key points on there. But the last one was that 70% of all, so 20% of all HVAC business owners across the world go out of, or at least in the US, go out of business every year. 20%, 70% do not make it past the first year.
It's a sad statistic.
So that's the reality. 3 out of 10. And just because they make it past the first year doesn't mean that they've got any quality of life.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like life gets worse. The busier you get, it gets worse. Because I've been there, done that. And you can create a real miserable time for yourself.
You can create a bigger hole. And that's usually what happens is that instead of, the number got bigger, but the hole got bigger. Then nothing changed besides for now they have more people working more, than more people depending on, their hair's falling out, their wife hates them, their families, the wife's might probably left them already at this point, and they got nothing left. And I think that's one of the hardest things to realize is that, okay, well, how do I not fall in that trap? And it's really hard because what happens the first time you get a sale, you're like, do this, I'm going to be rich. And then all of a sudden you got to pay insurance and trucks and gas and workers' comp and FICA taxes and then also taxes. You got to pay taxes when you do make money. So you got to pay all this shit. By the time
I didn't for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
I didn't. So I instead of paying my taxes, I paid the IRS. Well, you're paying the IRS, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was paying not just taxes, but penalties and interest. So add that into your bills if you mess up right off the get-go.
Oh yeah, that's always fun. And like I said, then also learning tax laws and learning all this stuff and how to get around everything. Because as much as everybody wants to talk shit about Bezos is the smartest motherfucker on the planet. I ain't paying no taxes. Hell no. And that's the other thing is, creating holding companies and all this other back end stuff that you learn. Like now if I go to open another location, right, I have a holding company. So it's not Absolute Airflow. It's a whole nother entity that's starting this business. And then it's all held by a freaking parent, and all this stuff. And like, you don't really realize it to the levels of the tax game and all that stuff until you start evolving too. So I think that's something that set me free too, is realizing knowing business, knowing tax law, knowing business law, knowing all the stuff that I can do to play the system. Shit, I have a call center in the Philippines. I have full-time employees that work in the Philippines. I love America, but I can't get around paying all them fucking FICA taxes and health insurance and all this stuff for people that don't work as hard. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you have to do stuff that's for your business. Like you're saying, Gil, you have 24-hour answer service. I got a 24-hour answer service. They're just in the Philippines and they work for me and they book into my service site and they do all that stuff. So it's one of those things that you got to figure out a way.
And that's business. And all the people that say, "Oh, it's USA," and I mean, I love this country. That's why I fought for it. But it's the same people that bitch are the same people that go shop at Walmart. Walmart is here because of things being made in China. If it was all made in the United States, guess what? Walmart would be out of business. Yeah. Okay. So it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Don't talk out of both sides of your mouth. It's that simple.
No, and like I said, I have a lot of employees here, but it's just, I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with call center reps, right? they're about as reliable as a freaking paper bag, dude. It's always an issue. There's always drama. There's always fighting. And I've been up to my ears, dude, in call center drama for 2 years, dude. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a connection out in the Philippines that I did other stuff for. And I was like, hey, do you know how many call center reps? They're like, yeah, I got these. So they speak perfect English. Well, magically now they speak perfect English. They do what they're supposed to do. They answer the phones. They're outbound. They do all that stuff. And I don't have to freaking bitch at them, and I'm going to hear them fight each other. So if the employees would get better here, I wouldn't have to go there.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's an option. You got something like that. It works. It is what it is. And then you got different time zones. So you don't have people working from midnight. For them, it's just a day shift.
Yeah, exactly. And I still have my staff here and there, and my staff here has to put it all together, right? So like they're the ones that are still the quarterback and brains behind the operation, the dispatching, and putting the right tech, the right call, and drawing out all the maps and all that stuff for the day. So like it's a lot of it's done here, but it's just like, I'm not, you can pay Service Titan or these other after hours things that suck and don't book in your, like they don't do what you tell them to do. They don't even know who your company name is. They answer the phone, I'm with or I can pay these people and train them. I taught these people, and I have some of them are buying their first house by using me as their business. So it's one of those things that still works in different ways. I mean, some people aren't for it, but you haven't ran a business and paid a bunch of money for someone that did a half subpar job.
No, that's true. Well, didn't you get a Lambo?
You like a Lambo? It's nice, right?
Yeah, well, I saw you in a picture. Did you buy it, or were you just like...
No, I didn't buy no Lambo, dude. I got way better things to buy. Garrett bought the Lambo. Garrett has Bitcoin. He has Bitcoin cash, and he went and bought himself a Lambo.
That's what it...
Yeah, no Lambos for me. I like to see... So one of my general manager owns a exotic car rental. So like everyone, like they always see me in different exotic cars. I was in a C8, I'm in this Mercedes, I mean, all these cars, and they're his, he rents them out. So he'll bring them to work and I'll drive them around and fucking mess around in them. So, and I have my nice cars at home. I have 66 GTO. I got a Raptor. I got all this other stuff, but like those sports car stuff. Yeah. I got kids. I ain't gonna put kids in a sports car.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Right. Like I said, I wasn't always on Facebook, and I remember one picture I saw you with one, and I was like, maybe you did buy it. If you did, hey, go for him, man. Fucking, enjoy it.
If I'm gonna spend $200,000, it's gonna be on some investments. I'm not trying to be doing this for past by the time I'm 40, I want to be like done. Like I want to be able to do whatever I want. And if you do that stupid stuff like that, and a lot of business owners fall in that trap, right? They go buy the fancy stuff, and then all of a sudden they're freaking nuts, massive, and they can't get out of it either. So if you are thinking about starting a business, you make your money the first year, don't buy something stupid. That's one of the mistakes I made as a sales guy. I went and bought my wife $100,000 Mercedes and all this shit when I was a sales guy. And then guess what? You have to keep selling to keep up with that.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of times you like it when your sales guys do that as a business owner, because then that's literally a hustle to keep maintaining the pay them bills.
Oh yeah. I want them to go buy all kinds of stupid bullshit.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, get out there, go pay for that.
Go have more children. Go do this. Yeah. It'll be fun. No, that's what like I was telling you where I first started at. These guys were making, $800,000 a year selling air conditioners. All those guys are in debt up to their gills, dude. They got $4,000 for 4,000 square foot homes and Porsches and Lamborghinis. Like they have all that shit, and they'll never get out of the rack. They'll never be able to start their own business. They'll always have to work there until the day they die because they don't have the money saved.
Yeah, it's, money's good. I mean, I've been able to do good financially, but it's more about freedom and time. I want to have time, because they always say, being alive and living is two different things.
Yeah.
I want to live.
Well, my dad's, on hospice right now, and he's going to pass probably in the next week or so at the most. And he's 61 and I'm 32. So I did the math. That's 20. I got maybe 29 years. That's a possibility. I take care of myself better than my dad did, but it's 29 years. Like that's not very long. And what if I had to go work somewhere and I worked there for another 20 something years? So I got, a little bit of time left to hopefully have a retirement, maybe if I'm lucky. And the same thing happens with business owners too. But a lot of guys, they don't save money. They do a lot of stupid shit. They go gamble in Vegas, or they go wherever it is and they blow cash and they want to be flashy. And I think that's one of the things I got away from before I used to be real flashy. Like now it's like, I wear my Absolute Airflow shirts and I drive. Like I don't get freaking fancy up. I don't do like, I don't have nothing to show. I don't buy Rolexes. I don't do that stuff.
Yeah, no. And I'm sorry to hear about your pops, man. I saw it on Facebook, and my dad went on hospice, and I went through that, and it still kills me to this day, man. So I feel for you, buddy. I'm sorry to hear about your dad.
Yeah, no, you know what sucks? I think the coolest thing that I got to do, and this is like one of the proudest moments when I started my business, is I was about 3 months into business, and my dad lived about 2 hours away in San Diego and never got to see my kids or my brother's kids. And my business is doing good. So I called my dad and I said, hey, Dad, like he was working as a groundskeeper for the state. Like he worked on the beach, cleaning up trash on the beach or whatever they had him do. Right. I was like, Dad, I don't know what you're being paid. I was like, I'll pay you more money. Just move back home, come be close to the grandkids. And, he got to come and work for me for a year and a half. Before he started getting sick last year. And that was probably one of the most fun parts of the business. Like, if I look back now, I'm like, man, I wish I would have enjoyed it even more. But to like have your dad there, and he was a big part of it. He was like, so he's a jack of all trades. So like if I needed drywall done or whatever it is, instead of having to pay someone a crazy amount of money, he'd go handle the shit. And he would do it with a big smile on his face. So I think that was one of the coolest parts of this whole thing, was that time I got to spend with my dad going through it. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man.
That is
awesome. I'm sorry to hear about that too. I got a good buddy in Texas and his dad works with him. And I tell him, man, cherish that shit, because we're only here just a blink of an eye. We're gone, so yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that you got to spend that time with them for sure, because you'll always remember that time, and it's always going to be special for you. So
yeah, that's how I am all the time. I say, "Oh, my dad, dude, I cherish that. It's something nobody will ever take away from me."
That's right.
And I always look back on it. That's why when I was writing that message to you on Facebook, I was like, I don't want to make this about me, but I was just trying to say, like, I understand, because this is, how it was for me.
And it's life, man. And so like my dad isn't my biological dad. I never met my biological dad. This guy's raised me since I was 1. So like it's a different type of like respect for someone like that, but he's also made me to be a good dad. So like, I'm home every day, but I used to be out working like crazy hours as a sales guy when I started my business. Like now I'm home every day at 5. I spend my couple hours with my kids. I'm off on the weekends. Like I just make that a priority. And I think that's been another thing that's helped me move my business forward, is putting clarity on what matters more than money.
Yeah. Man, I got to tell you, you're just, I know we talked about it briefly, maybe in the beginning, but you are definitely a different person. So yeah, I'm sure. Not shitting you. Like you have grown up. Yeah. And I mean, I don't mean that in any derogatory way. I mean, like I respect it, and it's good to see, man. It's really good to see. I appreciate it.
And I have a very clear goal. Like I'm going to be like in this industry. I'm going to go down as one of the guys, like the Hillers and these guys, and I want to be better than them, and I want to bring more to the table. And I think the way I go about stuff now, I can do that. Like I bring it with my heart. Like I lead with my heart, and like that's how I'm going to be, and that's how I'm going to grow in this industry, because I'm going to have $100 million business. I'm going to have all this stuff and all these other things I'm going to do. But along the way, I'm just going to help people and do as best as I can to be a good person and be a good mentor and a good spokesperson for the industry. And I think that's my biggest goal now, where before it was just like all about me. And now it's like, hey, what can I do going forward to solidify myself as someone that people can respect? For a while there, it was like I was flying by the handles, not wild. And now it's like, okay, I got to tone it in. I got a lot of people watching me, a lot of people that are looking up to me, and I got to make sure that I keep on that right path and make sure that I am someone to look up to. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And I think, like you said, it's a natural evolution. Like you think of like, say some kid he can sing and he turns into be famous and he's like 14 and people are like, oh, he's such a cocky prick. We don't know what that kid's went through. Yeah. He didn't live normal high school years. He was rich, famous, every girl, you know what I mean? Like you had everybody looking at you. So you're like, it builds you up. It gets you a little bit of cockiness. Like it happens. But then you see someone who now they've been in the business for, 15 years and now they've learned and they've grown from it. You took a risk and it was a success.
Yeah.
So everybody was talking about it. Everybody was like, man, fucking Victor's out there killing it, blah, blah, blah.
But I put it out there too. So like I put it out and I put a lot of stuff out there where it was like a lot of people were like, well, something's going on. Something ain't right. He's going to fail. He's a liar. It's bullshit. And like they kept kind of waiting for the house of cards to fall. And I felt like I could feel it, like just talking to people, like just how they like whatever. And then like they're like, well, the fucking house hasn't fallen and it keeps getting bigger. Like what the fuck's going on? And I think now to be able to, like I said, I'm with the training thing, right? So, I decided it was Saturday morning at 8 a.m. I'm going to post and see if anybody wants to come to California for training. I sold it out in 2 hours. And then, the training went off and, I was nervous as shit because I got people flying in from all over the country to come listen to me. And I put all my effort and time into this and I shut off my business for 3 days and just focused on this. That was it. And my only goal was to change these people's lives. And everybody was like, dude, like, these guys have been in the industry forever. They're like, I've never been to anything like this where like every single person was their fucking eyes were intent the whole time. And the trainer just legitimately only wanted to make these people better. And I was like, dude, I wanted to do this. Like it's something I've always wanted to do my whole life. And then I got to do it. And then, now it's like, I'm about to sell out. I almost sold out the next 60 spots. I'm like, how the fuck does that even happen? And I didn't, like I said, it was just because I put so much out there and I've people want to come be part of whatever the hell I'm doing. And that's kind of the cool part.
And that's awesome, man. I mean, we've been following your success, dude. Love the success. And you're right. At the beginning, it was like, damn, man, can he sustain this? Like, is it going to happen? And, what's going on? Watch it from afar.
Yeah.
But it's awesome, dude. I'm glad to see what you've grown into. I'm glad to see your mindset now and what you're growing into and what happens in the future, man. It's awesome. I always want to see people succeed. Like a lot of people don't like to see people that are doing better than them.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a fuck, dude. I want to see anybody in this anybody in life, but especially this industry succeed. I love this trade. And if this trade can help anybody succeed, I'm all for it. I don't care if it's better than me, worse than me, whatever. I don't give a fuck,
Right.
So
that's a good mentality. And like I said, and before we got on here, the stuff that I'm working on that I think is going to even help impact even more people, what I plan on rolling out by next year. If I can roll that out, man, it's just like, the only reason I really like, I'm going to make a lot of money, Gil. I'm going to make a lot of money from it and it's going to be fantastic for my family. But the thing that's going to be most resonating to me was when like all of a sudden every business that buys this thing, it's fucking blowing up and they're like, holy shit. Like that's going to be my gift to the fucking, I feel like that's what I'm going to give to you, everybody. Everybody's like, dude, my whole business changed. And when I get that first text message, when I roll this thing out and people are like, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on, but we're selling so much shit. I can't even keep up with it. Like that is going to be like my fuck you moment. Like I told you guys I was going to do this shit and this is what I'm doing. And now you got to pay attention. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm like. I'm just thinking in my head. Like, I'm already like, that's half my issue. I'm always thinking like so far in the future. I'm like, dude, this is going to be fucking beautiful. If I can make this happen, I can make it work. And this works. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be like, fuck you to everybody that doubted me.
I agree, man. That would be awesome. And like you said, obviously you got a family, you want to live your life and be financially taken care of, but to be able to have that happen financially at the same time, watch other people succeed, like that's a win-win, man. It's a win-win.
It's like that next level of consciousness, like it's contribution, man.
Yeah, well,
that's where the fulfillment comes from.
There's a lot of guys in the industry that are just like all they care about is themselves and sales, and like they're sales trainers and all these things. All they don't give a fuck about if anybody's successful when they're done. All they care about is making their money now, and they did their stuff. Like that's not what I'm about at all. Like I tell everybody, you come to my training and doing badass, you can have your fucking money back. I don't want it because I don't want to do anything that's not top of the line. I'm going to put all my effort in, and I want you to succeed. Everybody at the training got my direct cell phone number. They got off the contacts in my office. I'm sharing my worksheets and all the things that I do in my business with them, so they can try to grow their business. And I think that's the difference. Is I legitimately. If I made no money, I'd be fine if it helped other people. I legitimately don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got an 8-month-old I got to go deal with. He got a tongue tie surgery yesterday. The second time, the first one's reattached. So we had to have him freaking laser beamed again, which is already rough to watch your kid go through that. So,
I can only imagine.
You gotta rip it every 2 hours. You know, like that's like torture. You got to re-rip the tongue. I'm like,
jeez.
Jesus. Yeah, that's nuts, man. Yeah, well, we were going to get ready to start closing this out anyway, man. Before you go, dude, we love you, brother. We're glad I'm watching you on the East Coast over there, fucking killing it in California, man. I know you've put in a bunch of hard work. You deserve every positive thing that comes to you, man. And I'm glad that you're changing the game. And I can only wait to see what you do in the future, brother. Really.
Oh, yeah, man. Like I said, thanks for having me on again. And I said, maybe we'll have the same conversation a year from now, kind of see where we're at. 'Cause I think there's a lot of stuff that I can't really talk about yet that's about to even go like even more wild, but I'm always a pleasure. Like I said, I like coming on to these things, and I hope that anybody listening, they get something out of it. Like even if it's like a little bit out of this thing that's going to help you get, move your business or your life or your sales or anything in the right direction, man. I hope that's what you get out of this. And what these guys do on a consistent level to do this podcast every week is a lot of work, and people don't really understand how much work goes into making a podcast consistently. So hats off to you guys. And like I said, thanks for having me on, and hopefully nothing but successes here.
Thanks, buddy. You too.
Real pleasure, Victor. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right. See you guys.
See you, buddy. Wow.
So yeah, there you have it. I mean, I night and day difference. Like this dude's growing. He's going places. I know I'm nobody to be able to say this, but I'm really proud of the guy. I tell you what, I'm old enough at this point. I'm pretty much old. I'm pretty older than he is. So, just from life experience and stuff that I've gone through, and I know you've gone through, you're a little bit older than him, but I'm really proud of him, man. Like
I am too, man, for everything that he had to, the good and the negative shit that was thrown his way when he came on the block, when he put everything out there. He definitely does deserve it. And he is like talking to a different guy. I'm glad to see, he matured into this, and that's why he deserves the success that he has. I mean, he really, really, really does. This was amazing, man. If you guys, for some reason, don't know who Victor is or don't know his story, definitely go check that out, man. Victor is murdering it. You heard him. 6 years in the industry. He went from changing oil to selling air conditioning, to now, has a $20+ million company. Is amazing. But you also hear him, like people think, like me and Kelley always say this, is people think that it was all just, sunshine and rainbows for him. And that's not what it was. And sometimes that's all you get off of Facebook. But that's what Victor was trying to say. Like all the shit that he went through, like when COVID hit, he thought he was going to have to lose everything, but he buckled down, struggled through everything to keep getting those gains and that success. So just know that it's not easy, but it can happen, So
absolutely is possible for anybody who's willing to just, that's the thing with anything in life, Gil, and we know this, is that it's the only difference between somebody who succeeds and somebody who fails is the person who succeeded didn't quit. When the going got tough, when the chips are down, when the next roadblock and the next challenge that they're faced with, they just didn't quit. They kept moving forward. They figured out a way. The two top things that you have to do as anyone who's successful, I don't care if it's walking into that next sales call or installing that next 18-SEER variable speed equipment, whatever it is. Like if you want to be successful, you have to make decisions. And Victor came to that point where he had some decisions to make, and he made some really tough decisions. Some of these decisions, a lot of people would rather just quit than have to make these decisions.
Yeah, they avoid them.
Seriously, they avoid them. So you got to be able to make decisions and maximize resources. And he did both of those things. And that's why he's still here. And that's why he's still killing it. And it's just getting better for him. And he's evolved.
Yeah. And guys, obviously we can't say, but when Victor says he has something in the works that's going to be huge, it's going to be fucking huge. That's all we can say. But obviously he talked with me and Kelley, and it's a fucking game changer, 100%. And I can't wait until, that happens. But yeah, man, shit, let's start closing this thing out, man.
Sounds good. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you gained some little nuggets, like Victor said. There was a lot of stuff shared here, especially for anybody who's even had the notion to possibly start a business. Wait it out, save your money, learn the business side. All these things are stuff that just because we can go sell $500 and some $1,000 worth of equipment in 1 month does not mean that we know how to run a business. I know it feels that way. I get it. I totally get it. You think you got it figured out, but go get some knowledge first. That way you don't come into this blind if you decide to start your own company. And it's not for everybody. You heard Victor say that. Gil will tell you that. I'll tell you that. It is not for everybody. It's something. That's why the failure rate's so high. It's an extremely high failure rate, and it's because it's not for everybody. And it's the world as well. There's so many people out there that as soon as you open up for business, like they want to make your money, that they want to take your money. Like they don't care what kind of service they're. And I hate to be that way. I'm just saying you're an easy target as a new business owner because you haven't learned the lessons yet. So it's something that I would, reach out to Gil and I, or reach out to Victor, whatever. Just, you don't want to try to navigate this alone. That's what I wanted to say, because there's so much you don't know unless you've put in the effort and the time and the energy to learn it before you make that decision to make the leap to ownership. So like I said, I'm rambling, but great interview. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It's so good to be back on a regular schedule. So, if you haven't listened to Gil's podcast that he did solo, go listen to that, because everybody needs to hear that. It's important information. So go back to the last episode and watch that or listen to it. We all, we're in this together. Like if you're struggling with anything, reach out to somebody. We're here if you need to talk to us. But love you guys. Please subscribe. Please share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers, the guys at the supply house. Tell them about us so you can walk in and they'll be listening to us one day. Well, depending on how much language we used in certain episodes. But anyhow, just love you guys. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate your support. And that's it. Go make money.
Yeah, man. Thank all you guys, man, through this. Like I said, I apologize for this time. As you guys heard the podcast, I was going through some stuff, man, but I feel great. Thank you for all the people that have checked on me and messaged me and stuff like that. I really appreciate you guys, man. I really, really thank you for doing that. I want to thank Kelley through this for just being, positive, sending me words to, things to do and things to pick me up, because I definitely lost my mind there, was in a place that was definitely scary. And that's why I wanted to share it. I didn't want to, embarrassing and as scary as it was, I didn't want to hide it, because I know that there's other people out there going through the same situation. And to see what the downloads did on that, I mean, that podcast, just because of the topic, was over 30,000 downloads in the first 24 hours. So that just tells me and I'm not saying that because of the downloads. I'm saying that because that tells me that people know that those issues exist in this trade. People are either dealing with those issues, or they know someone who is dealing with those issues. So that makes me feel that I made the right choice by sharing my own personal demons. But yeah, thank you guys for the support, man. I really, of us, the podcast and everything. We're back to business now. There will be an episode out every week. Thank you guys for sticking by. I'm still downloading. I see people still checking out old episodes, which go, if you haven't listened to the old ones, go back and check them out. That's awesome. So we thank Victor tonight. Like Kelley said, it was awesome to see Victor grow into the man he is now, the business he has. So happy for the dude. So proud of him. He's a nice, genuine guy. To be able to talk to him and get to know him more. He really is a good guy. He deserves this. My heart goes out about his pops. Somebody's been through there. I can only imagine. So my heart goes out to him for that. But yeah, definitely. Victor is definitely an innovator, a leader in this industry, and he's somebody who definitely should be looked up and followed because he's really, really doing big things. So anyway, guys, keep downloading the podcast, keep leaving the reviews. I'm going to try to get a live stream here soon. Just to get out and talk to everybody. I don't know if it's going to be routinely again, but I'm going to try to at least pop one up here just to get out and talk to everybody like that. So I'll let you know when it's going to be. But yeah. Guys, as always, man, be safe out there. Always make it home the same way you left. Set yourself apart. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy. All right. Like some of the nuggets you heard tonight from Victor. And I'm going to start saying this too, man. I want you guys to stay positive every day, man. I sound like a sticker in Target, but live, love, laugh, man. Be positive. Think about the good things in your life and just get all the negativity out of your life and just stay positive and remember all the good things you got going. All right. Until next week, we will talk with you mofos later, man. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.